The reaction to President Trump's indictment from foreign leaders has been somewhat muted. Russia says it's an internal issue for the U.S. The Chinese social media site Weibo, users there, which is Weibo's their version of Twitter, users there have been saying the indictment is an embarrassment for the U.S. This, of course, is the first time a U.S. president has ever been indicted. We did learn today, though, that Ulysses S. Grant was once arrested for speeding in Washington, D.C. in a horse carriage.
Yeah.
True story. But normally,
you have to go in a horse carriage.
pretty
too.
fast,
Yeah.
actually. Read the story. But normally, arresting presidents is something that happens in other countries. And when it does, it's normally not a good sign for the politics in that country. Joining us now to talk more about the Trump indictment is senior fellow at American First Policy Institute and Newsmax contributor Fred Fleitz. Also with us, former national security advisor for President Trump's and for Project Sentinel as well, retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer. Gentlemen, great to have you both here.
Hey, John.
Good to be here.
So, Fred, you've heard this from a lot of people. It sounds very banana republic-ish. Of course, that comes from, South American governments of days of old. But this does sound a lot like something that happens in a foreign country with a dictator in charge or a military coup or something like that. What is your take on all this? And have you heard anything from other countries?
Right. In the rest of the world, this is known as victor's justice. It's when someone wins a presidential contest or prime minister's contest, and he then uses the power of his office to prosecute and destroy the loser. This happens in the third world all the time. It happens in South Korea. And what's interesting here is that President Trump talked about prosecuting Hillary Clinton during the 2016 campaign over the Steele dossier and the Clinton Foundation, but he didn't do so because victor's justice is not part of the American way of government. It's not what we do here. President Trump didn't do that. The Democrats are crossing a very dangerous line here.
Yeah, I mean, it is, Lieutenant Colonel Shaffer, I mean, something that we just don't see. This is, from your vantage point and all your expertise, how do you read Bragg's move to indict a former president on this charge?
Well, this is related to the larger effort of the overall progressive Democrats. Let's not make a mistake here, as Fred said. This is an effort to suppress and prevent a competitor from going and running for president again. And I would take it a step further. This is not third world. This is Soviet-level wrongdoing. I've said from day one, when I first learned in 2017 that President Trump was being targeted, this is a concerted effort to essentially disestablish the legitimacy of Trump as a candidate and undermine everything he's doing. This is systemic. This is what they're doing. There's another set of indictments they're trying to get him on regarding classified documents. They've got the issue in Georgia. This is a systemic, completely committed effort, very Soviet style. This is what Vladimir Putin would do to the opposition, let alone in the American system. This is not acceptable, but this is what's going on.
Well, Vladimir Putin would probably throw him out of a hospital room or something like that.
Feed him some poison.
Yeah, right. Poison him. But we also wanted to ask you both, while we had you here, about Turkey's parliament yesterday approving a bill to allow Finland to join NATO. We've also seen the Hungarian parliament come around on this issue. And the NATO Secretary Jens Stoltenberg, Fred, says that this is exactly what Vladimir Putin doesn't want. More NATO, not less NATO. Give us your reaction and what will come of this.
It's a huge win for NATO. It's unfortunate that Hungary and Turkey were dragging their feet on letting Finland and Sweden in. The next step is Sweden. I think the Hungarians will go along with that. Turkey has some issues with Sweden because of the PKK, a terrorist group in Turkey. And I think that will be negotiated. But it is a huge win for NATO and a big setback for Vladimir Putin because it's showing NATO working together and NATO getting stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And, finally to you, Tony, your reaction to that. I mean, as you know, we're more than a year into the war, and we do see, NATO growing here. What do you think Putin's read will be? As Fred said, Sweden looks like they'll get their membership as well.
Well, I think it's important that NATO show a united front. That's not what they've been doing well. So it's good that these nations are coming in. Look, Finland was invaded by the Soviet Union in 1939. They've got good reason to worry. Sweden has been very independent, but I think recognizes the strength in numbers. That is to say, to be part of the larger coalition. So as Fred said, I agree. This is a good move. This does show strength and resolve. And that's what's going to be necessary to essentially create conditions for a resolution of Ukraine. And that resolution is nowhere to be found so far, though.
Yeah, let's get them in NATO, but of course, you got to get all the NATO members paying their fair share.
That's right.
That's still not happening right now. Thanks for being here, Fred and Tony. Great to see you both. We appreciate it.
Good to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.